let's go here, and I want you to hear something else, because now I want you to pay good attention to what I'm about to share with you now. Listen good. And first, I need you to remember something. Let's get it straight here.
And here's the thing. If I did have 5 minutes with him, I would just like to say to him, what part of your 10 million vote victory, 10 million more votes than the other guy, what part of that did you get? The people were with you. The people wanted this change, and they wanted it now. We stood at the edge of the abyss. We were looking into a very big, deep black hole, and we voted for you to pull us back. And you've done a number of things, and you've tried. And I think it's amazing. I got to say, on some level, because of that vitriol that he's had to suffer, he's handled it quite well. I don't know if I would have handled it as well. I liken it to this, Tavis. He has so many times held out that olive branch and has had it whacked out of his hands. The Republicans, they've admitted, they went to dinner, literally, on inauguration night, the top leadership, and they just decided they were going to stop him from doing anything. They were going to grind the wheels of government to a halt, and they were going to essentially ignore him for 4 years. They were going to stop whatever they could stop, even when he put language in that was their language, even when he proposed bills that were essentially their old bills. They just decided they were going to stop him, and it's like he didn't exist. It's like he was a ghost. Mm-hmm. They're just going to wait him out for 4 years and then get rid of him. And it reminded me of that book I read in high school by Ralph Ellison called The Invisible Man, where he spoke so eloquently of what it was like to grow up as a black man in the 30s and 40s and 50s in the United States, where people would just talk past you. They'd be in the same room like you didn't even exist. You could be on the elevator. You could be, you were this invisible, but you lived on the other side of town, out of sight, out of mind. Well, they have treated him like the invisible president. They've tried to get away with this, and I don't make the racial comment there lightly either, because I think that there has been this racial element, and it's been very sad to see some of these Tea Party people in these demonstrations and whatever, and the language that they use and the signs that they have. This really isn't the America that we live in now. The majority of people don't feel that way, and I would hope that President Obama would now, in his now, what hopefully will not be his last year as president, will really stand up to this. A couple more.
You heard Michael Moore say they had them a meet, and they tried to treat him like the invisible president. Clint Eastwood brought him a chair up there. Huh? I remember watching I like cowboys, I remember I was watching High Plains Drifter. Any of y'all saw that one? Oh, man, where y'all been? Y'all didn't look at no shoot 'em ups? Okay. In High Plains Drifter, there was this town that had really, they had murdered, watched people murder a sheriff that was trying to protect them. And the men that did it got arrested and put in jail. But their sentence, they was somehow they was getting out of jail. And they had promised that town they was going to come back and finish the job. And so they got on the lookout for somebody that could protect them from them criminals that had did that, and Clint Eastwood rode into town, you know, they hired him. And the moral of it was, when he knew what they had did, and so he made them paint the whole town red. He had them all paint the town red and everything, and he was telling them how to get ready, and you know, they was setting up barricades and stuff for these men and everything. And he was living in their hotels and eating, sleeping free and all that kind of thing. And and at the when the men started coming, he got on his horse and slowly rode away and left them there to remember that they had somebody who was a decent sheriff and whatnot. And they, as good as wish them murderers Godspeed, who killed their sheriff and they didn't come to his aid. Now, here these people treat the President of the United States. They want you to elect them to be over the country. And the last president, the sitting president that has been elected, you heard what Michael Moore said they treated him like? The invisible president? Now listen to this. You had to change tapes? Okay.
Clint Eastwood, surprise speaker to the stage tonight. Let's watch and listen.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Save a little for Mitt. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, what's a movie tradesman doing out here? You know, they're all left-wingers out there, left of Lenin. At least that's what people think, but that's not really the case. There's a lot of conservative people, a lot of moderate people, Republicans, Democrats in Hollywood. It's just that conservative people, by the nature of the word itself, play a little more close to the vest, and they don't go around hot dogging it. So...
Now, they thought that was funny. But he meant what he said. When he said he's conservative, and just by what it means, we play it a little closer to the vest. Meaning America is dear to his heart. And he said he don't go around hot dogging that. You know, meaning what? You know, hot dogs for sale? Most people don't know what hot dog really comes from, what that means. But if you've ever seen a dog in heat, a male dog in heat, you know, you see that his little private part come out of that little hole that it's in, and you notice like a dog, that wiener and thing that you put in that barn, it sticks out of the end, don't it? So they call it a hot dog. You didn't know where that term come from. Some of you, I guess. But what do people generally do with hot dogs? Certainly you eat them. But when you go to the movies, when you go to the fair, when you go to different places, what do people do with hot dogs? They sell them, right? But he was letting you know that his conservatism is not for show, and it's not for sale. So we don't go around hot dogging it. They didn't understand because, as I told you, you got to be kind of dense to come out. I mean, here this man comes out, Norquist comes out and tells the American people that he got their Congress in his pocket. And many of them going for it because they just that dense. You ain't heard Rush Limbaugh say nothing about that. Why not? You think he loved this country? I watched people who clapped the loudest. I watched people who claim they love a nation so well and was so patriotic to the nation until Allah tried them. And their loyalty was for sale. Look how long first it took to build the Nation of Islam. And look how short a time it took to dismantle it. You know why? Because many people on the inside of it were just pretending that they cared when they really didn't. That same thing is happening to America. You keep on choosing people because they look like you. Keep on thinking that everybody that grin up in your face care about you instead of looking at what they're doing. You're so busy listening to people stroke you that you ain't paying attention to what they're doing. You have not paid attention to the fact that Mitt Romney have not said to President Obama, what about your taxes? What are you paying? How come? Because he knows. He knows that the president, he's paid his share and then some. Did Mr. Romney now say the president got some bank accounts outside of America? And I'll tell you something else. Another reason he don't want to show you his taxes is not for the lie they talking about. Talking about he's a humble man. He's been very generous to charities, and he don't like to sound a trumpet as to what he's been given. He's been very charitable to the Mormon church. When you give charitable contribution, ain't that a tax write-off? Sir? I wonder what his accountant did with that. You think that might be interesting to see? Because if it was really charity, would he want it back? Huh? I mean, he got his cake and eating it too. He give it away, and then his accountant get it back for him. You know how it goes. You've been to HR block. They tell you, how much did you give? And they give it, and you get your money back. As you know, if you give your tax information, don't your refund amount get included in the report? I didn't hear you. Well, that's one of the reasons why he didn't want you to see. You should know that. Okay. Now, listen at Mr. Eastwood. He done already told him. He said, same song for Mitt. Huh? I mean, he's letting you know, don't be going through all that. I didn't come out here for that. He want them to know that he don't tell you he's a conservative as a show. Conservative also means not given to change real quick. You know, if it ain't broke, don't be messing with it. Huh? You don't want change for the sake of change. You want change if it's needed. Huh? All right. Listen.
But they're there. Believe me, they're there. And I think that, in fact, there's some of them around town. I saw John Voight. There's a lot of people around here in town. John's here, Academy Award winner, terrific guy. And these people are all like-minded, like all of us. So I've got Mr. Obama sitting here, and I just was going to ask him a couple questions.
Now, they still laughing, but they forgot about what Michael Moore said. They have treated him like the invisible president. So Clint Eastwood brought a chair out there and said, I got Mr. Obama here. Huh? Listen.
But, I remember 3.5 years ago when Mr. Obama won the election. And though I wasn't a big supporter, I was watching that night when he was having that thing, and they were talking about hope and change, and they were talking about yes, we can, and it was dark, and it was outdoors, and it was nice, and people were lighting candles, and they were saying, and I just thought, this is great. I mean, everybody's crying. Oprah was crying, and I was even crying. And then finally, I haven't cried that hard since I found out that there's 23 million unemployed people in this country.
They thought he was talking about something against the president. But what kind of shape was the employment when President Obama first took office? Huh? They said America was hemorrhaging jobs. That was the terminology. Hemorrhaging. You got to put a tourniquet on something that's bleeding that bad. Huh? He said he wasn't crying that much since he heard. Let's back that up a minute.
Yeah, and I just thought, this is great. I mean, everybody's crying. Oprah was crying, and I was even crying. And then finally, I haven't cried that hard since I found out that there's 23 million unemployed people in this country. And now that is something to cry for, because that is a disgrace, a national disgrace, and we haven't done enough, obviously. This administration hasn't done enough to cure that. And whatever interest they have is not strong enough. And I think possibly now it may be time for somebody else to come along and solve the problem. So, Mr. President, how do you handle promises that you made when you were running for election, and how do you handle it? I mean, what do you say to people? Do you just I know people were wondering. You don't have it, okay? Well, I know even some of the people in your own party were very disappointed when you didn't close Gitmo. And I thought, I think closing Gitmo, why close that? We spent so much money on it. But I thought maybe it's an excuse. What do you mean, shut up? Okay. I thought it was just because somebody had a stupid idea of trying terrorists in downtown New York City. Maybe that was it. I've got to hand it to you. I've got to give credit where credit's due. You did overrule that finally, and that's so. Now we're moving onward. And I know I know you were against the war in Iraq, and that's okay. But you thought the war in Afghanistan was okay. You thought that was something that was worth doing. We didn't check with the Russians to see how they did there for the 10 years, but it. We did it, and it was, it's something to be thought about, and I think that when we get to I think you mentioned something about having a target date for bringing everybody home, and you give that target date, and I think Mr. Romney asked the only sensible question, and he says, why are you giving the date out now? Why don't you just bring them home tomorrow morning? And I thought, yeah, I'm not going to shut up. It's my turn. So anyway, we're going to have to have a little chat about that. And then I just wondered, all these promises, and then I wondered about when what do you want me to tell Romney? I can't tell him to do that. Can't do that to himself.
Now remember, Clint Eastwood doing the talking. What kind of man does a wrong or knows that a wrong was done and sees a man or a doctor come to correct it and supports those who try to hinder the doctor from correcting it after the doctor have prescribed and knows what the cure is and prescribes it, refuses to implement the cure and says that the doctor don't really know what he's doing, and say, come here, I'll do it. That doctor don't know. But he's following that doctor's advice because he wants to take credit for it and make himself look big. Well, ain't that what the Republicans want you to now forget who put the country in this mess? The president comes and he gets with his cabinet, begins to come up with the solutions, begins implementing those solutions. Even when, remember when he was getting ready to keep the automobile industry, GM in particular, from declaring bankruptcy and laying off all of those people? What did Mitt Romney do? The same thing Bain, that they accused him of with Bain Capital. Let it fold. Huh? That's just business. Right? And the president said, no, can't let it fold. Can't let AIG fold. Can't let these places fold up. Because allowing that to happen would hurt too many people with 401ks and some of everything else. No, we got to bite the bullet. Just like they try to say, you can't spend your way out of debt. Companies do that all of the time. It's called you got to spend some money before you can make some. Who don't know that? Ask the man that owns the supermarket. Can he spend his way out of debt? Yes. If you spend your money on the goods that people want, you buy them at one price, you spend your money, and you go into debt, you sell that stuff, you sell that produce, and you get out of debt. Is that right? So what they talking about? They know they're talking to you, the majority of the people that they have talked to. You notice you don't get business management. You don't get the understanding of business in grade school. And the majority of the people in this country don't go to college. And that's by design that you take up business in college. You can learn all of the intricate details of accounting and all of that stuff after grade school. But then college gets to the point where people can't afford it, and so most poor people don't have a college degree, a college education. So when they fit to serve, but they are not fit to understand who they are serving. Do you understand? So they can be told anything. Is that you can't spend your way out of debt. Businesses do that all of the time. They spend their way out of debt. I mean, that's how it goes. You have to invest money in the goods that you want to resell. That's why most businesses, they got in the little small business, it's a 30-day turnaround on it. You owe them for the goods that they gave you. They'd rather you have them because the wholesaler, even he had to buy. He bought them. They sitting there in his warehouse. They ain't doing him no good sitting there in the warehouse. That's his money sitting up there on the shelf. So he needs to move them to your shelf. So now you owe him. And he wants his money in 30 days or however y'all done agreed. And he sit up there and try to tell you that you can't spend your way out of debt. If the Congress had went on and put the infrastructure, passed the infrastructure bill, the jobs bill that the president had, people would be working in construction and some of everything. That would have been a big boost for the economy. And at the same time, it would have been benefiting the country because the roads and bridges would be getting fixed and everything in the country would be getting upgrades, and at the same time, cash would be flowing. People would be opening new business because cash flowing, and people would be getting that cash flow and taking it. And when you go to a bank, what's the first thing they want to know? Well, how you going to pay this loan back? Right? If cash is flowing, you can say, well, here's my statement. This is what I'm making right now, and this is what I project that I will be doing. And then they say, yeah, we can take a chance on loaning you some money. Now, the government spent money, but now they're going to get that tax revenue back, and they spent money on GM, right? And AIG, and they made money off of that, right? How come Romney and them don't tell you the truth? Because he's not an honorable man. None of them are honorable men. Listen to this. Now, here, they think that it's a joke. But Clint Eastwood is just reminding them of what Michael Moore said that they had done to the president. They made him an invisible president, right?
Crazy. You're absolutely crazy. You're getting as bad as Biden. Maybe, I think you mentioned something about having a target date for bringing everybody home. And you give that target date, and I think Mr. Romney asked the only sensible question. And he says, why are you giving the date out now? Why don't you just bring them home tomorrow morning? And I thought, yeah, I'm not going to shut up. It's my turn. So anyway, we're going to have to have a little chat about that. And then I just wondered all these promises, and then I wondered about when what do you want me to tell Romney? I can't tell him to do that. Can't do that to himself. You're crazy. You're absolutely crazy.
And you know they don't. Some of them sitting there, they don't have the slightest clue to what he's talking about. They think that he's poking fun at the president, but he's actually telling them that he see them. And it was an insult to him for them to invite him to come and help them to unseat a man who's trying to bring their country together. They accused him of trying to divide the country when he had a completely Democratic Senate and House of Representatives. He still reached out to the Republicans and said, no, we can't leave him out. That's what Michael Moore was talking about. Just listen.
You're getting as bad as Biden. Of course, we all know Biden is the intellect of the Democratic Party. So just a kind of a grin with a body behind it, you know. It's just kind of a thing. But I just think that there's so much to be done, and I think that Mr. Romney and Mr. Ryan are two guys that can come along. I never thought that it was a good idea for attorneys to be president anyway, because it. Yeah, I think attorneys are so busy. You know, they're always taught to argue everything and always weigh everything and weigh both sides, and they're always devil's advocating this and bifurcating this and bifurcating that. You know, all that stuff. But I think it's maybe time. What do you think for maybe a businessman? How about that? A stellar businessman, quote unquote, a stellar businessman, and I think it's that time. And I think if you just kind of stepped aside and Mr. Romney can kind of take over, you could still use a plane. Though maybe a smaller one, not that big gas guzzler that you're driving around when you're going around to colleges and talking about student loans and stuff like that. I think.
You heard him say when you're going around colleges talking about the student loans and things that you, letting you know he knows that the president been trying to fix these things, trying to make the playing field level. Romney could care less about a student loan. You heard what him and his wife said about things got so tough that we thought we was going to have to sell some of our stock. Do that sound like somebody who in touch with poor people? What is stock, man? Yeah, how many of y'all got some stock in there?
Public son of man.
Yes, sir.
And Romney, he's a Harvard lawyer too.
I know. Clint Eastwood knew it too. You didn't think he didn't know? He know everybody in Congress is a lawyer. He gonna touch on it in a minute. Just listen.
You're an ecological man. Now, why would you want to drive that truck around? Okay. Well, anyway.
You see, he said you're an ecological man too. He said you worrying about the, ecology and the health of the continent and that kind of thing. Well, why do you want to drive that truck around? And they laughing because that don't concern them. It's all about money. It's all about what's in your wallet. Look what they did. A hurricane tearing up the Gulf, right? Shutting down oil refineries. Oh, this high chance to raise the gas prices. You would think that since they're always talking about the love of the country and how we in this together, right? We in it together, right? Then why every time a calamity happens, the price on everything go up? Because they're the kind of people who pour water on a drowning man. Well, it's his fault. He should have worked hard. Right? Okay, listen.
All right. I'm sorry. I can't do that to myself either. Anyway. But I'd just like to say something, ladies and gentlemen. Something that I think is very important is that we own this country.
That's the way the people in the nation used to do every other word that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had to say. They there clapping and hollering and whooping instead of listening. Now he's trying to tell them who really the country belongs to. It belongs to the people. It don't belong to the politicians. What do they say? The government of, for, and by who? The people. What did Mr. Norquist say? He want to be able to fit the government in a bathtub. Then they can wonder what we doing. That's what he said. And let's face it, y'all don't know what they up to. You thought that Clint Eastwood probably had went off the deep end. He's gone off no deep end. Just listen.
Thank you. Yes, we own it. And it's not you owning it and not politicians owning it. Politicians are employees of ours.
Did you hear what he said? He was looking at them then. He said it's not you owning it and it's not them owning it. Politicians work for us. That's what he said. Listen. I'm going to back that up with about 4 more bars. That's the way disc jockeys use it.
Something that I think is very important is that we own this country.
Remember what I told you about the term we? A whole lot of folks misunderstand that. Now, them sitting out there planning, the little schemers, they think they in that we. He wasn't talking about them. He's finna let you know he's not talking about them. Listen.
It's not you owning it and not politicians owning it. Politicians are employees of ours. And so they're just going to come around and beg for votes every few years, and it's the same old deal. But I just think that...
He said these folks come around and beg for votes how often? Every 2 years? Let's go back and hear that part again. I thought he said 2 years.
Thank you. Yes, we own it. And it's not you owning it and not politicians owning it. Politicians are employees of ours. And so... they're just going to come around and beg for votes every few years, and it's the same old deal. But I just think that it's important.
You think he's talking about presidents then? He said every 2 years. Them your congressmen. Who wouldn't cooperate with the president? Wasn't it the Congress? And they come around and ask for your vote how often? Every 2 years, right? But they're not listening. Listen.
Did you realize that, and that you're the best in the world? And whether you're Democrat or whether you're a Republican or whether you're libertarian.
Now, do that sound like he came there to support what they talking about? He said whether you Democrat, whether you Republican, Libertarian, it's your country. And they come out, who the ones been talking about we want to take the country back? Who been talking like that? You want to take it back? What you mean? It ain't going nowhere. What they mean is they had a good thing going. Right? Until they wrecked it in front of you and you saw it. Oh, well, he all right now, but sooner or later he's going to have to own this economy. Right? That's what they were saying about President Obama, right? Remember when they was telling them, look, you need to go on and pass that, you raise the debt ceiling so that our credit rating will stay where it's supposed to be. Well, we ain't worried about that. Right? Remember? Who was that saying they wasn't worried about it? Congress, right? Okay. Listen good. You see, but you know, it wasn't just black people watching. White people didn't elect that man president for the Congress to snub their nose at him. They elected him president because they wanted him to be president. Congress said, we don't care what you want. Why you think he told them? This is our country. You come around here every 2 years, want some vote. You work for us. But they weren't listening. They're too busy thinking he's making fun of the president. Listen.
Or whatever, you're the best, and we should not ever forget that. And when somebody does not do the job, we've got to let them go.
When somebody does not do the job, we got to let them go. He's talking about Congress. They the one didn't do their job. Oh, look, wait a minute. Let me show you. I mean, I'm not. Let me let him finish. Then I'm going to let you hear.
Let him go. Okay, just remember that. And I'm speaking out for everybody out there. It doesn't hurt. We don't have to be... I don't say that word anymore. Well, maybe one last time. We don't have to be... What I'm saying is we don't have to be mental masochists and vote for somebody that we don't even really want in office.
You notice how he said that. We don't have to be masochists and vote for someone that we don't really want in office. Ain't the Republicans been saying that Romney wasn't really the best choice for that? I mean, all of them said it, didn't they? What is he telling them? We don't have to vote for somebody that we really don't want in office. Let me let him say it. I ain't got to say it. Man, I be listening. You know, I remember, you know, you don't know who's friendly towards you and who's your enemy if you don't listen and watch. You wasn't given ears for nothing, and you wasn't given eyes for nothing. They was to help you to be aware. Do you understand? You can think what you want, say what you want. Do you honestly think? You look around you at a lot of the things that Allah have guided me to guide you to doing and to help do for you. How could you befriend people who try to undermine me if you love yourself? What are you doing? The messenger asked us the question. He said, brother, when you help your enemy destroy all of your friends, who's going to help you against your enemy? There's an old saying. You know, war and politics make strange bedfellows. You notice when they was fighting Germany, they was glad to get a German that turned coat on Germany and join with the Allied forces and tell them the secrets of the Germans and whatnot. And everybody, they don't care if you truly turn on the people that they fighting. Yeah, the enemy of my enemy, they say, my friend. Strange bedfellow. Till the fight is over, it's like a cat. He can help dogs chase cats, but when ain't no more cats to chase, it's gonna be one left. Ain't that right? Yeah. You better quit. You better quit helping destroy those who came to help you. It ain't no doubt in you. It can't be no doubt in nobody's mind that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad came to help black people. And now you don't think that you should even mention him? Well, that's fine. I'm glad it ain't left up to you. You see? I'm not looking for no mention of whatever in your history book. But I know this. Wherever there are freedom-loving black people, those who helped them to get there will be remembered. You see? That goes without saying. I'm not going to stand up here and, just like, how many of y'all heard all of this, what I'm talking about now, when Clint Eastwood was talking? Did you get what I got out of it? Because your memory ain't as good as mine. See? I understood perfectly when he said he had a chair there for the invisible president. Listen, and you better not bother him. Well, he ain't worried about that. He know what kind of cowards he dealing with. Sitting up trying to steal the country. You believe in democracy as long as that you get who you vote for. But if it ain't who you want, you don't believe in democracy no more. Right? Talking about they believe that the Creator gave us certain inalienable rights. And they even bear witness. That's what they say. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Well, then why you want to roll back affordable health care? If you believe that people got a right to life, I assume you believe that they got a right to be in good health. Because if you're not in good health, you ain't going to live long. I told you I'm dealing with a hypocritical nation.
Okay, just remember that. And I'm speaking out for everybody out there. It doesn't hurt. We don't have to be... I don't say that word anymore. Well, maybe one last time. We don't have to be, what I'm saying is we don't have to be mental masochists and vote for somebody that we don't even really want in office. Just because they seem to be nice guys, or maybe not so nice guys. If you look at some of the recent ads going out there, I don't know. But okay, you want to make my day, huh? All right. I'll start it, you finish it. Go ahead. All Thank you. Thank you very much.
So he saw him. And the sad part is he showed that they are not capable of ruling anybody. But he was talking over their head. The news media knew. That's why they was asking, what you invite him out there for? He didn't mention Romney no more. It looked at the president and said, tell him what? Well, he can't do that to himself. Huh? Why? Because everybody see Romney. They sitting up there talking about, did he reinvent himself? I mean, you can't. Okay, you can't all of a sudden become a wise man because the time demands it. If you were not a wise man before the time demanded it, it's just like a final exam. If you have a final exam, I done took final exams before, believe me. That's why I graduated with D. I don't care how much you study for it the night before. If you didn't pay attention during the school term, you can study all night long. What did Lionel Richie sing that song? All night long. You still gonna fail. If it was that simple, it wouldn't take no whole semester to teach it to you. And Mitt Romney is a businessman, and Donald Trump called him the kind of businessman he is. He's a small businessman, period. That's what he called him. You see? I mean, I want to show you the small-minded people that done wiggled their way up into power because people are so gullible. You know why con men are successful? It's because people allow themselves to remain so gullible. When you choose ignorance over enlightenment, when you choose to allow others to do your thinking for you, then you asking to be misled. When you choose to not exercise the freedom of thought, you are asking to be deceived. You know, babies, they don't have teeth. So consequently, whatever you give them, they try to just swallow. Sound familiar? That's the way some people are in this world. The majority of the people in this country, they just swallow whatever they see on the news. Whoever get to them first, and whoever get to them last, they just swallow. Don't do nothing. Do you understand me? And most people always take the path of least resistance. That's in the nature of human beings, to take the path of least resistance. You know why that is? It's because that's the nature of water. Water just naturally takes the path of least resistance, which is downhill. Always downhill. And likewise, isn't it easier to let someone else tell you what to choose and tell you what to think than to take the time to study, reason, and question, and then come to a rational decision, a calculated decision about what to think? It's easier to use a calculator than it is to sit down there with the pencil and paper and work that problem on your own, ain't it? That's why you go to the store and you can give say the cost of something is $42.50, and you give the teller a $50 bill and 3 1. You know what that tell you? Oh, you gave me too much. He said, here, you can have these back. And he said, no, I would like you to give me back a $10 bill and 50 cents. And they try to stand up there with a strange look on their face because they can't add. The machine doing it all. And anytime you don't use anything, you'll notice, you sit down a long time. You can be young and sit down for hours. When you get up, you're a little stiff. If you just sit there in one place long enough, I promise you, when you get ready to move, you're going to find that it's not as easy as it is when you done been exercising and get ready to move. Why you think when runners get ready to go and do their workouts or whatever, or run, they first go stretch and get themselves all loose, right? Because you can hurt yourself if you try to move before just like a car. You rev a car up as soon as you start it up, you're going to ruin that car. You're going to ruin your motor. Because what you need to do is turn it, and let it idle until that oil gets through all of them parts in between those moving parts. And after that, then you can kind of rev it, because now you don't have metal rubbing against metal. Do you understand? Okay. So, I want you to think. And the more you, as the president said when he was asked, I keep repeating it. When he said that, I knew that his heart was in the right place. Because he told these people at one of them town meetings, the lady asked him what could they do to help. He said, get informed. I mean, the man was telling them, look, you got to get enlightened, lest people can spook you and frighten you into doing things that's not in your best interest, because you don't have the understanding or the good sense to see that what they're trying to get you to do is not in your best interest. But if you get informed, get enlightened, when people tell you you should do this, you ask, why? Why should I do that? You know, Mitt Romney said he's going to create 12 million jobs. he ain't told nobody how's he going to do it. And if he had that kind of, you know, the way you can prove people's truthfulness. Now, what if he had said, you know, we took this program, you know, we tried everything that the current administration wanted to do, and you see where it got us. And we tried to get them to implement the program that we had, which would have been to do this, do that, and this, and that, and this would have made it happen. But they refused. Oh, he'd have a legitimate argument then, wouldn't he? But just sitting up there telling you what he going. I remember this thing on Red Fox when he had one of his deadbeat relatives came in there. He was visiting him. He was glad to see her, and it came time to fix dinner, and he said, when he said, I'm going to go in here and fix dinner, she said, no, let me fix it. I'm going to fix you some fried chicken and some rice and some, and he said, oh, yeah. And when she got up to go in there, she said, oh. And he said, what's wrong? She said, oh, it's something was wrong with her. And he told her, lay down, I'll take care of it. And he finally realized that she was only making them promises of what she was going to fix, just to pacify him. But he wound up fixing the dinner. He wound up bringing her the plate. He wound up doing all of the work while she promised to as soon as I get better, I'm going, but she never got better. Huh? Well, he come in there telling you he going to have $12 million for you in the next 4 years. He going to be going. He going to be really, and that's what you want to hear, so that's what he told you. And then he began to commence to running the president down some more. And as Newt Gingrich said, man, if people will lie to you to get into the office, what makes you think they're going to tell you the truth after they get there?